Hello there guys, and welcome back to a brand new 852 tutorial. And if you've been with us before, welcome back. If you're brand new to the channel, then I hope you find the video or this series at least helpful. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to check out some of the other videos that we've done in the past. What we're going to be doing today is starting a brand new tutorial on a 3D car interior. I'm going to be using Autodesk Maya as we go, but if you're using something a little bit different, it's not a big deal. The process is more or less the same as you go through for all the different stuff. It's just the tools and things that will be a little bit different. Now, in order to make this interior, we're obviously going to need a car to drop it inside. The car that I chose was a Jaguar F-Type. Now, I chose this because it's a fairly decent looking car. It's a very nice looking car, but the interior shouldn't be too much trouble for us, and it shouldn't give us too much issues. We've got a convertible here as well, so we can take the roof off, and it should look, or hopefully come out looking pretty good. Now, obviously, you're going to probably need a model of a 3D Jaguar F-Type in order to do this. Now, I've already done a tutorial on the creation of this car. I'll link that in the description below so that you can go through that maybe first, and then move on to this tutorial here. Now, I've done plenty of car modeling tutorials and a few other tutorials in the past, but I've never done or covered an interior for, well, a tutorial for the interior. So I'm not quite sure how long this is going to take. I'm not quite sure how many episodes it's going to be, but I'm going to try and keep it hopefully maybe around 8 episodes, 9 episodes, something like that. So I think what we'll do is we'll just use this episode here to maybe get some base laid down for our model here. Now, one of the keys to this is an incredible amount of reference images. So we're going to want to make sure that we've got a whole heap of images inside here, because the blueprints that I've used for this project, which again should be included with the previous tutorial. Let's just change this to X-ray. We can see that although we can see the majority of all of this, that we do have some obscured here by the top A-frame, which is a little bit frustrating, but it's something that we're going to have to work with. Now, the way that car interiors work is generally that, apart from obviously all the buttons and the information side here, we should be able to make this side of the dashboard and then flip it over to the other one, and then remove the elements that will need to drop the steering wheel and stuff on top. So I think ultimately the plan would be to create the center console, work all the way down, ignoring all the main instruments at first, make the base here, flip it over to the other side, and then make any changes we need over here. Now, I'm based in the UK, so for me it makes the most sense to create the car right-hand drive, because we drive on the left. So I'm going to work to that standard. What I would say is you could either work slightly opposite, should you wish to, but if not, I would say just create the whole car interior along with me, and then just flip it all at the end, so that you can get it on the side of the car that you guys may drive off. So I suppose what we'll do is we'll crack on. So I think the first thing we'll want to do is we're going to want to get a few layers on the go here. So in our channel box and our layer editor here, we're probably going to want to put a few of these things on to layers so that we can get some of these elements hidden should we need to. So what I think we'll do is let's get all of these elements here. We can maybe go for the whole of the body actually, apart from the doors. So we'll get all of this. We'll maybe grab these portions here, and I'm just going to create a new layer. I'm going to create a layer from the selection, so it means now that all of those elements there are now part of a layer, and we can double click here to rename this, and we're just going to call this maybe car body main, and that'll be fine. And what we'll actually do is let's get the doors here on as well, so maybe just take the doors and we'll create a layer with the selected on it, and again let's call these car doors. Oops. so. So now we can hide just the doors should we need to. I think what we'll actually do is we'll maybe put the handles on there as well. Just split those off. So what we can do is we can grab those, right click, and then we can add the selected objects, and I'll take the handles in too. We could maybe do the windows. Currently they're on multiple different blocks, so let's go for our side windows here, and could go for the trim as well. We'll maybe put the trim on its own as well, because we want to obviously keep as much information here as possible. So let's say side windows, if I can spell. That's not going to be a valid character. Do that. So again, we can hide those. We'll maybe go for the windshield on its own. So I'll say windshield. There we go. And then we'll maybe put the trim and separate that too. Maybe put the trim just get this separated. There we go. So maybe put the whole of the trim here onto a layer as well. Could maybe actually add, because that's already on the body layer, let's take these two, just so that they're out of the way should we need them to be. And we'll just call this window trim. And we'll do one for the A pillar. So it should be fine. And then we'll maybe take all of this, because these are all the main roof components, and then we'll add that here as well. Sweet, so we can bring all this back in. So our roof now is on a separate one. We've got our side windows as well. So we're going to see roughly what the car is going to look like here quite nicely when all of that goes. Okay. Now I think what we might want to do is we might actually want this on its own layer. Cover. Okay, we got there in the end. So I've got that there, which is fine. And let's just grab all of that. Okay, cool. So we've got roof cover, we've got our roof, we've got nothing on here, so we can delete that layer. We have our A pillar, we have our window trim, windshield, side windows, doors, and car body. Cool. So what we're going to want to do then is we're going to want to start thinking about the areas of where our car doors and areas, maybe the back not so much. We're going to need to have a think about where these areas actually connect. So first of all, I'm going to hide the roof, and I'm also going to hide the side windows for now. So we'll work out of what we've got here. So we have a little bit of trim here, which we can see has come up here and it stopped, and it looks a little bit weird, but we're going to have some extra trim. It's going to run along the top of that window, which is going to kind of smooth that off a little bit more. Inside of my references here, we can see that we have a section that actually looks like it runs underneath here and then down into the rear of the car. as we can see here. So this is actually where the main interior starts. So first of all, let's maybe hide the doors, and we're going to need to have a think about this portion of the car here, at the front and the back, because what's going to actually happen is this car is not actually really going to start, the interior is not actually going to start until something down this line here. So we've got all of this space inside which is going to be hidden by the door. Now we're not going to go into so much detail that we can open the door and we can see it, but we can skin this area here so it reflects what we actually should have. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to use the areas that we already have. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to add the wheels to a layer as well, just to get those out of the way. So let's create an empty layer. I'm going to call this wheels, and we'll add all of these here. Let's just turn those off. Bring in the wireframe. So what we're going to want to do here is we are going to want to create almost like a second skin into this portion here. So what we'll do is let's grab our edges, and I'm just going to grab the edges of this component just on the inside here. I'll maybe go one more in, like so. I'm going to hit Ctrl E to extrude, and I'm going to extrude in on this just a little bit, maybe just something like that. And then what we'll do is let's hit Ctrl E again. We're going to take a step up, like so. Then we'll hit Ctrl E again, and we're going to go in here. Now at this point we're probably going to want to start thinking about straightening off. So let's straighten this portion off. So we'll go something like that, which looks fine. So now what we'll do is let's grab all of this here that we have selected, and we'll just leave it, take it all the way back to its original bit, and we'll just go to edit mesh and we'll extract. So now we have an extra portion of this here which we're going to use to add our information to. So let's just send to the pivot. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to take it down, and I'm just going to take it in, just so it's actually going to sit behind that portion of the car there. Now what we're also going to want to do at this point is we're going to want to do the exact same here. So we'll grab the edges to this panel as well. I'm going to hit Ctrl E. We'll go in ever so slightly. I'm going to hit Ctrl E again, and we're going to come forward here, and I'm going to hit Ctrl E one more time. I'm going to take it in, and again we'll start thinking about straightening that off. Something like that. So we're using the existing geometry to do this. The reason that we're going to do that is because we want to kind of follow the existing shape, because this is essentially the way that a car is made up. Is it's made up of main chassis components, and then we have skins on top, which these panels just act like skins, which lay on top. So what we want to do is we want to make this appear to be more of the full chassis component. And we can do the same again. We can extract those there. So we now have this portion and this portion. And what we'll actually do is we'll combine these elements together. And I'm just going to hold V here and snap all of these together, because we don't want the creases in here as well. The creases are just for the panels themselves. And then we can merge all these points together just by hitting G. Okay, so now we have a little bit of a skin, or a little bit of an area on that section there. I think the only thing we really want to do here is we're just gonna maybe just want to make sure that these here are a little bit straighter. Just something like that. Okay, so that's looking good. Okay, and what we'll do is we're going to do the same at the front here. So we'll grab this here, and let's go again with each of these. Okay, so we're going to want to follow a similar kind of trend. So we've gone in, we'll go this way after hitting Control E again for the extrusion. And then we'll bring this in here, and again we'll want it to straighten up just a little bit. We'll pull that all the way in there. And let's get all of that extracted. Looks like we might have missed a bit there, but that's not too big of a deal. So let's extract that too. We can quickly combine these together. I think at this point we're not going to be too fussed about that straight edge, so we'll just merge all those together there. Sweet. And then finally we'll do it one more time just off of the hood of the car here. Let's maybe do it off this edge. Okay. We won't go all the way up because we can just take it up a little bit more should we wish to. So we'll grab this. Okay. So I'm just going to quickly smooth all these off just as we continue to work here. So I'm going to grab these two, I'm going to combine them together. Let's quickly isolate them. And we're just going to want to bridge this gap here. So we'll grab these here, I'm going to go to Edit Mesh and Bridge. And then we'll do the same with these ones here and here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. We'll also take it back the way and underneath, just like we did with the other portion. So that's looking good. Now it looks like what we're going to want to do is think about bringing these two together. So maybe what we'll actually do is we'll remove those and let's just combine these elements. We'll do that by mesh and combine, and then what I may do is let's actually merge these down here. Just so that we're not going to be affecting the work that we've done too much. Okay. And then we can maybe take that in a little bit there. Okay, so that's looking okay. What we'll want to do now is we'll want to grab all of the edges here again. So we'll grab all of these. We'll hit Control E. And we're going to need another step up here. A fairly significant one by the looks of it. and then we'll hit Control E again, and we're going to take this in, and at the same time maybe scale it in ever so slightly. Maybe just something like that. And then let's just take it in, and then let's just have a go at completely straightening it off here. And it looks like we probably want to be about that distance. So that's looking good. Now obviously, once we've got this smoothed off, we're going to be slightly out of sync with this. So what we'll do is we'll hit 3 on there as well. And we can see that here we're starting to curve quite nice, which is fine. But we're also seeing a little bit more here than we probably should. So what we could maybe do with this bit is grab these bits and let's just go down with them. That's a little bit better. It's got a curve in there, which is fine. Going all the way up there, which is quite nice. So overall, that's smoothing off fairly well. I'm just going to insert a couple of edge loops to help with the smooth here. So I'm just going to drop one right here. Actually, let's not do that. Let's grab this edge and this edge, and we can bevel this. Maybe drop a couple of segments in. And then we'll do the same with these ones here, maybe slightly larger fraction, and a segment in there. So that's going to give us a lot more definition inside there, so that's looking pretty good. So here's where we would have like the locking mechanism and things on the door as well. What we also have on this car is we have some additional trim. So let's grab these here. Let's actually duplicate the layer, select the faces, and we'll select everything other than these ones here. Let's not take those. And let's insert an edge loop, let's see, roughly around here. I'm just going to straighten those off too. Let's delete those extra bits. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this up ever so slightly here. Grab all these edges, hit Control E. Take that down there. Okay, so we'll drop that down here. Like so. Let's insert a couple of edge loops in here as well. So this is kind of like a little kick plate that appears inside the car. Let's maybe insert a couple of edge loops going this way. Okay, so that's looking a little bit better. Maybe just pull the edges up here just a little bit. Just so that we can see them. And then I'm just going to apply a darker material to them. Okay, so we'll go something like that. We can refine that a little bit more afterwards. That's looking pretty good. So for now, what we could maybe do is get these flipped over to the other side. Okay, so that's not looking too bad. I think what we could quickly do is let's quickly add in a new plane here. And I'm just going to take down the amount of subdivisions. And snap it into the center here. So it's going to end up being 1/2 of the car. So I think what we'll do with this is let's bring this up. And take those back here. And I think what we'll do with this is we'll have this be a portion of the car here where we can start to think about mapping out a basic floor and backing. So let's just drop that under there. Let's insert a couple of edge loops here. And we'll bring it in to follow the line here, the line of the kind of the portion that's going to the kind of wind deflector at the back here. And we'll bring all these up to kind of reflect that height that we have there. Cool. So let's grab these edges and bring it over here. Okay. So what we'll do with this is we want this to kind of flow down up behind the headrest of the seats. We're going to then want to drop this down behind the seats and then come along the ground as well. So maybe bring that here and then down here. Just gonna let me grab this. Maybe bring this down something like that. This here can be the portion that's tucking in down behind the chair. And And we'll bring this all the way down to something like that. And a basic floor to the car, which we can take all the way to the front down here. Okay. And then let's just bring this over here. Okay, so that looks like a good height location for the floor. Just get that straightened off. Looks like we might want to get this straightened off too. Okay, and let's just get this roughly switched over to the other side as well. Okay, cool. So I think we're going to leave it there for this episode, guys. So we've started off really basic kind of back and floor there. We're going to have the center console come off of this and down the center of the car. I think this is quite an important area inside here, because this is going to give us a good idea, indication of where all of this interior trim here, for example, we're going to want this to meet this bit here fairly closely, and the interior of the door panel we're going to want to be separate to the actual rest of the dashboard and things as well, which we can work on that on its own. So in the next episode what we'll do is we'll add more detail to this area here, and I think the first thing that we should think about doing is the main center console. Once we've got that in place, I think the steering wheel and the head unit is going to probably be one of the last things we'll do. Once we've done the center console, we'll have a think about laying out the base of the dash and all the instruments as well inside. Okay guys, cool.